Hey everyone on YouTube, how you going today? I'm Phil McAuliffe, I'm the Loneliness Guy, and I'm going to record my latest episode of the podcast Connection Over Coffee with the Loneliness Guy. It's a solo episode today, so I'm going to be talking into the camera where I can see myself. So it is weird. I'm just going to say that right now, but I'm really excited for the opportunity to check in with you almost one on one and feeling like it is a chat over coffee. So before I press go, I did want to invite you to go and get yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or some other beverage that will have you feeling settled. And yeah, let's have a chat. So, got the headphones, got my microphone here, which does have a curious cover, doesn't it? It's a bit of a makeshift cover. And yeah, so you'll be able to hear me and watch me do this. It's going to be a short episode today, really short episode, but it's an episode on your loneliness. And as a gay man who may be feeling lonely, my thoughts are on what you can do to move beyond the thoughts and feelings, the horrible thoughts and feelings of loneliness, and moving beyond them, and using those thoughts and feelings for exactly what they are, which is an invitation to get curious about about what kind of connection you need, and then to take steps to do it. And it's those steps which can be incredibly difficult, right? Okay. That's all right. I'm here. And yeah, so you get to connect with me, the Loneliness Guy, over coffee or tea or a beverage of your choice. All right, I'm just going to take a sip of tea here and then we can get cracking, hey? All right. I'll get rid of my phone, get myself comfy so you can, and get my radio voice going so you can be entertained with this. All right, let's get cracking, hey? I've got to make sure the hair looks good too. All right, you good? All right, let's do it. Hey, welcome to Connection Over Coffee with me, Phil McAuliffe, the Loneliness Guy. We're going to have a great chat today about your loneliness. But before we get going, this podcast contains content. But before we get going, this content contains... what's with this? Do this all the time. But before we get going, this podcast is all about destigmatizing loneliness and promoting authentic connection for gay men globally. It contains content relating to the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of gay men. If that's going to offend you or anyone in earshot, now's the time for you to move on. So, with all of that said, how about you go and get us a table, and I'll go get the coffee sorted. Okay, here you go. If this is the first time that we've connected over coffee, I want to say welcome, because and let you know how proud I am that you pressed play. And let Here you go. If this is the first time we've connected over coffee, welcome. I recognize that you may have just taken a huge step in engaging with the uncomfortable thoughts and feelings that you might be a gay man who's feeling lonely. I know how much of a step this is, how big a step this is, and I want to let you know that I'm proud of you. And you've picked another, well, this is an episode that is a really, I'm excited for this episode because it's an opportunity to check back in with you, to have a chat with you, because it's been a few episodes now since just you and I have had a chat. And what I want to do in this conversation is to do a recap of everything that we have spoken about over the past few episodes, particularly where I've had a chat with some friends and guests on the podcast, and kind of do one of those recap episodes before we go into your loneliness, the topic of this chat. Now, On Your Loneliness is all about, this episode is all about what we can do, what you need to do to move beyond the thoughts and feelings of your loneliness. And it's important that we take some time to recap, refresh our minds about what was in the previous episodes, because there are several clues in the wisdom shared by my friends with you on the previous episodes that can help you take a step. Not take the step, take a step for you to move beyond these terrible thoughts and feelings of loneliness that you might be thinking and feeling, and to actually use those thoughts and feelings for what they are. They are both a gift and they're an invitation for you to get the type of connection you need to move beyond those thoughts and feelings of loneliness. So we have had a couple of, well, not a couple, quite a few awesome episodes of the loneliness, of Connection Over Coffee with the Loneliness Guy over the past few weeks. And I want to say that the first guest, so the first guest on Connection Over Coffee with the Loneliness Guy was Sofia Coquerez, the founder of the Other People Movement Collective out of San Francisco. And Sofia is doing some fantastic work on her OPM circles, her Other People Movement circles, where she brings people together in a, quite frankly, a magical way. I don't want to say that lightly or flippantly, but it really, something really special and almost inexplicable happens in these circles when all these participants who don't know each other show up and open up and share with each other what is really happening with them. And it really is magical to see what happens next when we respond, when we are met with kindness and empathy and no judgment. Sofia's message in that episode was that we are not alone, and that loneliness is cruel. We can think that and believe that we are truly the only person, that we are the only gay man who is experiencing loneliness. And we just know that that's not true on an intuitive level. But, on a reasoned level, on a rational level. But intuitively, we can really believe that everybody around us is living their best life and that we are the only person dealing with the thoughts and feelings. And that's just not true. It's not true. And the conversation that I had with Sophia, the main thing that I wanted you to get out of that was that you are not alone. I am not alone. And current global pandemic situation aside, we are in real need all the time. This time a year ago, we were in real need of the type of connection that Sophia is facilitating through her OPM circles. I'll put a link, or go back and check that episode, and join one of her circles. It's a really beautiful, indeed magical experience. After that episode, we had a chat with Michael Diorio, and who is from Wellismo Coaching. Now, Michael and I are in a partnership, and I can really recommend Michael's coaching services because as a gay man who experiences loneliness and has learned from his lonely experience and the causes of it, the reasons for it, and when he does feel lonely, he knows what to do. The conversation that we had was, why do we find it so hard to be authentically ourselves? And because when we reach out for help with our loneliness, we go through a process, or start a process that can get shortcutted very quickly, because the process is uncomfortable, and that process is realizing that we need to drop our guard, to let our guard down, to let ourselves be seen, and to I guess take the armor off, all those kind of things, take the mask off, whatever it is, that we need to do that in order to get the connection that we see, that we seek, and that we actually really need. Now, that fear is completely normal, and Michael summarized it beautifully when he said that the fear is not an indication that you're doing the wrong thing. That fear is not an indication that you should stop. The fear is an indication that you are doing something differently. And if you are a gay man who's been experiencing chronic loneliness, the fear of connection is a reflection that you are doing something differently. And indeed, the fear is a good thing. The fear is that indication that you are doing something that you need to do, and it's okay to be scared. We need to recognize that fear and not necessarily isolate it, but we need to feel those feelings, but it's not a sign that we should stop. Okay, so that was from Michael. The next conversation that I had was with Alexander Gerard from the Proud to Be Out podcast. And if you haven't listened to those podcasts, please do to Alexander's podcast. But the conversation with Alexander was all about the owning our coming out stories and the power of our coming out stories. And for gay men, there is such power in our coming out stories, and where we are accepted for who we are, it's a powerful boost and a powerful reminder of what can happen when we are real, when we are genuine, we are authentic with ourselves and those around us. But where we are not accepted, that can also be equally powerful in keeping us quiet, in keeping the masks on, in keeping us safe from judgment, safe from judgment of ourselves, judgment from other people. But our coming out stories are a powerful reminder that we, as gay men, can be capable of really powerful things. When we accept who we are, when we accept the thoughts and feelings of our attraction to men, our physical, mental, and emotional attraction to men, when that is accepted, is a powerful thing. And in coming out as gay is very similar to coming out as lonely, to admitting to ourselves that we're lonely, to admitting to others that we're lonely. And you are capable of powerful things. You are capable of doing the hard things. The following conversation was with Mike Campbell, who is my friend and I do coaching work with. Mike and I talked about how we men, gay, straight, whatever, can really struggle to ask for help. And that also went to authenticity, one of the central themes of my work about authenticity. And for the lonely gay man, we must struggle within ourselves with a whole lot of messages about what it means to be a man in society, wherever we are in the world, in that being a man means that we have to have all our shit sorted all the time. We believe that we must be fully self-sufficient and be able to handle whatever life throws at us, and that asking for help is us being a burden on others, and that asking for help is us being weak. And of course that's not true, is it? And again, it's one of those dilemmas where the heart knows, but the brain believes something else. The brain subscribes to the unattainable notion of what it means to be a man, that we can have passively accepted over our lives and still need to wrestle with whenever we ask for help. Be that asking for help to something minor like asking for directions, through to I'm having a really tough time, I need your help, I need you to listen to me now. There's so much in that conversation that I'm going to be unpicking over the coming weeks and months on my blog and this podcast. But I want to say that in asking for help, you are not a burden. And I hear this so frequently that, and really I'm going to admit that I struggle with this myself still, that in speaking up, in asking for help, I am going to burden someone with my request. The burden is borne by them if they agree to take on my request, take on whatever I've asked for help on, but don't want to do it. And the burden there is not something that we get to, I guess, decide for someone else. That burden is for someone else to pick up themselves. And that whole interaction and reason that we don't ask for help about being a burden really does deserve some more investigation and some more thinking. But you are not a burden if you ask for help. You are not a burden when you ask for help, because the notion that we must, as men, go through life without asking for help from anybody is complete and utter bullshit, and it is so completely dangerous that it stops us getting the help that we need. And indeed, when it comes to loneliness, it stops us getting the connection we need to move beyond these temporary, what are meant to be temporary thoughts and feelings of loneliness. Again, you're capable of brave things. I know it because you've come out as gay. You're able to ask for help. And I know that you can ask for help when you want to move beyond these current thoughts and feelings of being lonely and gay. And then last week, I had a conversation with Matt Landsiedel from Inspired to Be Authentic, and we talked about we talked about the stigma of loneliness, and indeed this was another very rich topic which I'll unpack over coming weeks and months. But it's judgment, the fear of judgment that is at the heart of the stigma of loneliness. The fear of judgment keeps us quiet. And I think the judgment is not only from others. The judgment is, I think, the greater judgment, the greater fear of judgment is from within ourselves. Specifically, where we are, when we judge ourselves excessively harshly, that we don't have all our shit sorted, when we realize that we do need people to move beyond our current situation, our current thoughts and feelings about loneliness, where we do need that help, but we fear that judgment of ourselves and not having everything sorted by ourselves. And again, it's ridiculous. It's heart versus brain. The brain thinks that we need to do something, but the heart knows that we need other people. We need other people. And it's that lack of alignment. And that was another point that Matt raised, was about alignment and integrity, and where our head and our hearts are in alignment. What we say aligns with what we do. What we intend aligns with what we do. And it's the discomfort, much of the discomfort about being lonely comes from not being in alignment. Our heart knowing that we need to do something, but our brain telling us something else. And it's that judgment which lies at the heart of loneliness and the stigma of loneliness. But in asking for help, in working through those judgments, are you noticing a theme here? In asking for help, we are opening up a really special way of connecting with those closest to us. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, having recapped all of those previous episodes and the wonderful conversations that were in them, I want to talk about your loneliness today. And I've said this earlier this episode, and I think that this is going to be a common thing that I say, is that loneliness is meant to be temporary. Loneliness is meant to be a short-term feeling, and it is simply at its core an invitation from within us to get the type of connection, the type of authentic connection that we need, so we feel seen, we feel heard, and that we belong where we are. Where we don't do that, where we ignore those thoughts and feelings, that loneliness can be then turn from a temporary state into chronic loneliness, and it feels so much harder to claw back to that type of connection that we need from a state of deep chronic loneliness. But you've got to. I have to. When I feel that loneliness, I know that I need to, and I know how hard it is, because it's so hard to ask for help. It's so hard to speak up. Still, I have to work through the fear of judgment within myself, fear of judgment from those around me. But every time I have, well, not every time I have, most times I have, when I've reached out for support, I have been met with nothing but love and kindness and empathy. And it has been a truly spectacular moment of connection. It's that real spark of connection up the back of my neck. And that is what you need to do, listener. That is what you need to, in taking a step to move beyond your current state of loneliness. You need to talk to someone who has earned the right to hear your story of loneliness. And the cruelty of loneliness is that we can convince ourselves that there is nobody in our lives who has earned that right. Or we can convince ourselves that we would be that burden. We convince ourselves that, they're too busy. We don't want to inconvenience them. I lovingly and respectfully call bullshit on that. That is little more than a feeble justification to keep you where you are. And remember that it does take, it's easy to wade into loneliness, but it can be quite hard. Well, it is really hard. The longer we sit within that state of loneliness, the harder it is to get out of it. So if you have been lonely for years, it's going to take some effort. And that effort is as difficult as speaking to someone with whom you feel has earned the right to hear your loneliness story. So, who, listener, who has earned the right to hear your loneliness story? Who has earned the right to hear that you are lonely and that you need connection? I invite you to reflect on that. But then the second question that I often get is that I don't know how to ask for help. And I completely understand this. it's really awkward to have that conversation, have a difficult conversation with someone that, it might start with small talk. And then, when exactly is that right time? What exactly are the right words to say to make that conversation go from small talk to something real? And I'm not going to say that there is a right way or that, one way is the right way. What works for me, though, listener, is the very simple thought that every conversation can be made better when we approach it kindly and honestly. So that gets summarized in shorthand to every conversation can be kind and honest conversations. We need to have a kind and honest conversation, and that kindness and honesty needs to be extended to ourselves first before we extend it to others. So if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling that you really do need to start moving beyond these thoughts and feelings of loneliness, to see them as the gift they are, for that invitation to get the kind of authentic connection that you need in life, you need to open your mouth and let words of honest words come out. And someone who has earned that right to hear your story will respond in a way that is for them, that is in a similar way kind and honest. And a person receiving your words, just like you may struggle to express those words, the person listening to them might actually struggle to receive those words. They don't know how to receive those words, and they don't want to get it wrong. That's okay. We're opening up the field to have continued kind and honest conversations. And through those kind and honest conversations is how you then get to the connection that you need. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's going to work out every time. I'm not going to say that that it will magically, using unicorn farts and fairy dust, magically fix the thoughts and feelings of loneliness within you. No, there is no quick fix. Working through your loneliness happens when you open your mouth and ask for help. Share what is going on with you. And slowly but surely, step by step, you will begin to have those real conversations. You will begin to have those real conversations internally, with others, and within your community. And I will be very surprised if you're not met with me too. Because loneliness is so prevalent in our communities right now, that almost 2/3 of respondents last year in 2019 said that they experienced loneliness always or some of the time. So I'll be very surprised if you aren't met with me too. And then, once you open your mouth, once you share with someone who has earned the right to hear your story, you will experience the powerful opportunity for connection that simply opening your mouth and sharing your story provides. So, who's earned the right to hear your story? Can you book in a coffee with them? Can you speak with them on the phone after listening to this episode now and reach out and say, if you can't talk now, can we please talk in a little while? I need to talk to you. Can you do that? I know you can do it because I know that you are capable of such bravery and such courage. And I ask you to do it once more. To do it once more. Remember, listener, you don't have to do it alone. Indeed, going through loneliness is best done when we do it together. And this is that open invitation to you to become a premium subscriber to the Loneliness Guy, where you can join the exclusive Facebook group for premium subscribers of the Loneliness Guy, where we work through together with other gay men our loneliness, and where we can share and give and get the support from other gay men and give support to other gay men as they embark on the road back to authentic connection within themselves. All of this is for my premium subscribers and is available for $9.95 Australian each month. And so come along and get the help that you need. Give the support that other gay men need as you work back to the authentic connection that you need in life. Okay. That's all I wanted to say in this episode, and if you do have any feedback for me, please do let me know. Send me an email, connect@thelonelinessguy.com. And if you got some benefit from this episode or any other previous episodes, and it would really help me out if you could share this with your friends, relatives, people who you think would really benefit from this message. As Alexander said at the end of our episode, sharing is caring, and that would really help me out in my mission as the Loneliness Guy to destigmatize loneliness and promote authentic connection for gay men globally. Okay, so until we meet again over a coffee, stay well, be kind, and be awesomely you. All right, that was it. Thank you so much for joining me on this chat. I'll see you next time, and that applies to you too, viewer on YouTube. Be safe, be kind, and be awesomely you. I'll see you later.